Welcome everyone, I'm Cassandra, your host today, and we're here with Jamie to share her story and some of the peaks in her life. Jamie, you work at Central, and tell us, introduce yourself, a little bit of context of how you came to be at Central, because that really is the story because you started off in California, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what was happening in California and how did you find your way here?
Okay, so my name's Jamie Simpson. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for 25 years. We have 2 boys.
Great.
Yeah. And how we came to Central was, it's a good story, Cassandra. It's a really good story. Yes. So about 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare condition where my organs started shutting down.
Okay.
And I ended up being in ICU for 11 days. And they basically told my husband that I was going to pass away and to bring our young children in to say goodbye to me.
I couldn't even imagine what your husband and kids in that space. Yeah.
I can't imagine either. It's kind of a blur to me that whole time I was in the hospital. I think that's God's protection.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But a random doctor who was not even my doctor walked by the room and he just was like, hey, if she was my patient, this is what I would do. So they called Tim in and said, can we try this? And at that point, Tim was like, yeah, do whatever. Yeah.
Right, because he thought he had said goodbye.
Yeah, we had said goodbye.
Okay.
And so 3 days later, I walked out of that hospital and still not well, still sick, but they did say, take her home, enjoy the time that you have with her. She's probably going to need a heart transplant within the next 5 years if she survives.
Okay.
And it was really Tim who was like, we're not going to believe that. We have a big God. And so I don't believe that's her story. So went home, really sick for a long time, lots of time in bed. And luckily I had a really great community of women around me that took my kids to school, brought us meals, just really loved on our family.
That's how love shows up in action.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they loved on us, and then we had an opportunity to move here. And because I was sick, I was like, no way.
Right.
No, all my doctors live in California.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, why would we come here?
Right.
And then I just went to scripture, and I'm like, Lord, why does Arizona keep coming up? What are you doing here? And he just kept saying, I'm taking you to a promised land. I'm doing something new. You're going to trust me. What I'm doing is going to be good.
So how many years was it between leaving the hospital and God calling you to something new?
Gosh, probably 8 years.
So that was a long time.
That was a long time.
So that was a long time of still taking the medicine, doing all the things.
Handfuls of medicine every day.
Yeah. Just and not knowing what the next day. I mean, we never know what the next day is, but in that, really not knowing if this is it.
No.
And that I would assume that at that time you're thinking, this is what my life is going to look like for the rest of whatever my life is.
Yes.
This is what my day-to-day is going to be.
Yeah.
That's got to be a very hard place to be in.
Yeah. So lots of fear. I couldn't even walk up a set of stairs.
Oh, goodness.
And I had these 2 young boys. So just a lot of faith. And then we moved here. And we believed that God was going to do something new. And when we moved here, I started not feeling well again. And I was thinking, oh no, I'm sick again. And we don't know anyone. We didn't know anyone here. We didn't.
You have no
family.
community here.
No community here.
You don't have your doctors here.
No doctors, nothing. Luckily, I had joined a Bible study.
Okay.
Yes, at a church. I joined a Bible study, and those women really became the women who were lowering me through the roof, Jesus, right?
Yeah.
To Jesus.
Yes.
Because I was like, where is my faith in this? So luckily, those women were my faith in it and just brought me to the feet of Jesus.
Well, and there are times in our lives where we can't carry our own cross.
Right.
And it's our community that surrounds us and helps us to carry the cross.
Yeah.
And that was what was happening in that moment.
That was totally what was happening. God totally brought those women into our lives.
Yeah.
And then we figured out that what was going on with me was one of my devices that they had put in that was supposed to be temporary because I was going to have a heart transplant.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah.
So it was supposed to be temporary. So they said, they did lots of testing and they said, your heart's healed. You actually don't need that device. The device is making you sick. Okay.
But approximately, how many years do you think it was that you had all those devices? And then they said
when
you
they
were...
took it out, it was 10 years.
It was 10 years.
It was in my, yeah.
So you had those devices for 10 years, and then they tell you you're healed. Your
Yeah.
heart is healed, and these are actually making you ill.
Yes, they were making me sick, and we needed to take them out. Yes. The problem was no doctor, no surgeon wanted to touch it or take it out.
Yeah.
Because my muscle had grown around it, and there was wires through my heart and all the things.
Oh my goodness.
So their concern was, when we take out this device, you're just going to bleed out on the table.
Right.
But those women were praying for me, and we said, it's okay, take it out. It's okay, we have trust, so just take it out. And I'll never forget that morning when they wheeled me into the room, the operating room. The nurses were all asking each other, did you give her something? Why is she so calm? Like, yeah. And I said, no, I just know I have peace. I have peace. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah. So they took it out. And then they put another device in just to monitor me and make sure everything was okay.
Yeah.
Thinking that maybe I'd have to have another device at some time. But I'm happy to say in May, they took out the last device. And my heart is healed. And I've been so good.
That is incredible. How you went from being in the ICU for 11 days to being completely healed, and how God surrounded you with these groups of women in these different, even in where you didn't know anybody, that were able to help you carry the cross and to help you through those moments where you could have been, that could have been an incredibly lonely moment in time for you.
Yes.
And instead it sounds like it was the opposite in some ways.
Sure.
Yeah, in many ways.
Yeah, for sure. I do believe the enemy tried to isolate me.
Yeah.
And lots of fear, and it was always like the what if you get sick? And in California, Tim and I were really involved in our church. We actually, our roots are church planters. So we're ready to like roll up our sleeves and go for it.
That is not an easy job, you guys. Yeah.
So I'm happy to roll up my sleeves and do what needs to get done.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get myself to get there. Yeah. And we were at a different church before Central, and Tim was ready to go. Tim jumped in, and I was always the one that was like, oh no, like I cannot serve. That I'm going to get sick again, or what if I let them down?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we started going to Central. And I truly believe that God, as the more what ifs I had for him, the more he can happen. And it was just this little thing, Kim Ferguson saying, hey, will you serve in First Impressions for me and greet new families? And I thought, yes. And then one yes turned into another yes. And then it was like, can you lead a Bible study? Yes. Yeah. Would you like to work at Central? Yes. Yes. So I do believe that God healed my heart in many ways, not just physically.
Yeah, that is incredible. Share with me a little bit like now, because what has, through all of that stuff, what is the peak? What has come out of all of that now is going on in your life?
Okay, lots of peaks.
Okay.
But I would say a peak right now for me is that all those yeses have added up to me being able to see God at work every day. And I just see the connections being made. And I really love when God brings women together and that connection is made with him and with them and just community. Yeah. So, we have lots of different ways that we do community in our family. We actually built a little community space in our front yard.
Okay, what does this look like?
I know, everybody wants to know.
What does that community space look like?
The community space is a big, like 1,200 square feet brick patio.
In your front yard?
With the lights. In our front yard.
Okay.
Yeah, we did it in our front yard, which all our neighbors are like, what are you doing? I would do this in my backyard.
Yeah,
This is for your family to enjoy. But I'm like, no, this is for our community to enjoy. So we have a little free library, and we have patio
You have a
chairs.
library?
Yeah, we have a little library. We have chairs and everything.
Okay, I think I want to come check it out.
You're
I
gonna
love
have
the
to
library.
come check it out. Yes, come check out the library. And what we do is when we first built it, it was around October, so it was like
Beautiful out.
Halloween, right?
Yep.
And so we made little invitations for every single one of our neighbors. And this was like a new neighborhood for us.
Okay.
We did not pick and choose.
You
We
just
said,
jumped in.
We're going to jump in. We invited every single neighbor. We went door to door. Tim and
Hand
I.
delivered.
Hand delivered. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's
hand delivered.
yeah, not a text, not an email, not a post-it note. Yeah.
And I thought, I don't know who's going to show up.
Yeah.
They all showed up. And then it was just really cool to see the older community come with the younger community. And like we had one mama on this side of the street that had a new baby and another one on this side. They came together, they met, now they're besties. Yes, there's a grandpa, we call him Grandpa Ken. He's kind of the grandpa of the whole neighborhood. Yeah. And he lost his wife last year. And so because of the community parties and the connection, there's always somebody at Grandpa Ken's house.
Yeah.
Or he's always eating dinner at somebody's house.
Yeah.
So I just really love seeing that.
That is beautiful. And that is, I think, exactly what God intended for us when we live in communities, what community really does look like.
Right.
It is multi-generational. It is loving one another. It is showing up for each other. It is having an authentic, real conversation and relationships with one another. And that is so missing in our world today.
Yeah.
To have this real face-to-face community, that is just incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
a lot of fun.
that just, it never occurred to me that to put what really I have in my backyard, to actually put that out front and open for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, it's so fun. We have a big pine tree, so we have a swing. So it's not unusual for me to be driving home and see like some kid on the swing, or like there's a dad and a little girl that often get a library book and just sit in the community little spot. So
oh my gosh,
yeah, it's really cool to see. Yeah,
now I'm thinking about what can I do in my
you have to get creative, but I do think it was a vision.
Yes,
so we bought an older home and we renovated it, and it was kind of like, what are we going to do with that space? And it was just dirt for a long time, and all the neighbors were like, what are you going to do with it? I'm like, I don't know. And then one morning I woke up and I was like, Tim,
this is what we're going to do.
I know what we're going to do. We're going to do this. And luckily Tim was on board.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing today.
You're welcome.
Really, really love your story. And it's just such a great reminder that we are not alone in this world, that we just have to reach out and say hello to maybe a neighbor, to the people around us, and build a community. And we can lift each other up and be there for one another. Thank you so much for sharing.
Welcome.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I hope you all really enjoyed this podcast today. Please go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and we'll be here next week with another one. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.